Well, I'm super excited about kicking off this new series, Home Renovation. This series is for you, whether or not maybe you're a first-time parent. I mean, you have one infant and you're super excited. Maybe you have 5 kids underneath the age of 5. Let's have a moment of silence for you. Maybe you're raising elementary age kids or teenagers, or maybe you're like Kim and myself. We're just entering into the season of learning how to parent adults. Maybe you're a grandparent, a great-grandparent. Maybe having kids are a few years off, but one day you might, or maybe you're a teenager right now. No matter who you are, just know this series is for you if you've ever had parents. I'm not saying good parents, bad parents. I'm not putting a qualification around that. But if you've ever had a parent, this series is for you. And what you need to know is Kim and I, we are not perfect parents at all. I just want you to get that out of your mind. I mean, we're living in this day and age where everything's a snapshot, right? You see that perfect family vacation picture, right? You see that perfect, soccer game or wrestling match picture, right? There's all these perfect pictures. But we all know, we all drive into our driveways, we walk into our house, our apartment, right? And family is messy. I remember years ago, Kiera, who's almost now 23, she was probably around 2.5, 3 years old, and she was such a happy kid. I mean, she was always happy. She would walk into her room and just light up the room. And one day, we were going on adventure. What I call an adventure was, Kim had to go shopping, and so we tagged along. And we ended up at Target. Why Target? Because there's a big tractor beam that just always would pull my wife into Target. And so we were shopping through Target. Kim was out in front of us doing her thing. And Kiera and I just make a big game about it. We were having so much fun. We made our way finally to the very back corner of Target. And that's where I learned what the walk of shame was all about. Do you know the walk of shame? Have you done the walk of shame? You see, we're in the back corner of Target, and all of a sudden, something set Kiera off like I'd never seen before. She started to cry. Her face got red. No matter what I tried to do, and I pulled out all the tricks, no matter what I tried to do, she only got louder. She was so loud that the entire store could hear her cry. I pulled in the big gun, Mom, Kim. I'm like, hey, you got to help me. Nothing Kim could do could calm her down. I finally picked her up. I looked at Kim. I'm like, you just take time in here. I'm going to walk her out to the car. And as I walked through the entire store with Kiera screaming, I discovered 2 groups of people. The one group of people that have never had kids, that looked at me with disdain, that looked at me like if you were a good parent, you would control your kid. If you were a good parent, this wouldn't be happening. If you're a good parent, your kid would never scream like this. You know those groups of people. Then the other group of people, they had so much sympathy. They just looked at me with that look in their eyes like, I've been there. You're doing the right thing, Dad. Just get to the car. Get to the car. It'll be okay. It was the longest walk ever. By the time I got to the car, put her in the car, she had calmed down and the day went on. We are not perfect parents. We say things we should not say repeatedly. I mean, we're a verbal family. We say things, I'm just saying, we say things we shouldn't say. We make decisions that we later regret. I mean, a whole list of decisions. Looking back, going, I wish we could have made a different decision there. And we are learning. There's a reason I put we are learning that parenting is difficult, because every season of parenting, it's new. And it feels like we're starting all over on what to learn, how to parent better. And we've told both of our kids, both of them know, that we will pay for the portion of their counseling that is connected to us screwing them up. Yes, our portion to what we've done to screw them up. Now, they've made their own decisions that screwed them up. They got to take care of that. But if they're in counseling and we've done that, they can charge us. We're fine with that. You see, in this series, we're going to be looking at 5 very, very specific areas that are often overlooked when it comes to parenting. 5 very specific areas that I just think that, it just needs a new coat of paint, new flooring, a crack to be fixed. You know those areas in your house where you have this long list of things that you need to do to renovate, to make it look new again. And these 5 areas, I just think, again, it's so easy to overlook. But these 5 will be foundation building, no matter the age of your kids, because it's never too late to start. And the first one we're going to look at today is a home of blessing. Now, that word blessing, I think there's so many different ways we use the word blessing in our modern day context that makes it sometimes kind of difficult to understand what blessing meant in the Bible. Right? Have you ever posted a picture, or a friend of yours posted a picture, and they do hashtag blessed? It's usually like someone's, feet are in the sand, there's the ocean, and they're like hashtag blessed, or someone buys a new car, or it's a used car, but it's new for them, and they're like hashtag blessed, or someone is, just got accepted to, or just earned that hashtag blessed, and almost always is connected to something kind of material. But it's how we use this word blessing. When someone sneezes, right? What do we say? God bless you. I actually jumped down the rabbit hole to say, how did that ever get connected with sneezing? And one of the possible ways it got connected with sneezing goes all the way back to the bubonic plague and Pope Gregory I. And they just thought that if you sneeze, you might have the plague. And so if you bless them, that maybe it would get rid of the plague. And I grew up, and maybe you grew up, I grew up in a house where we said blessing for every meal. Lunch, breakfast, dinner, snack, you name it. And my dad was notorious for saying the longest prayers. If we were at a restaurant and he was praying for the food and that server came up, my sister and I would kind of look up at the server like, you should come back later because he's going to be here for a while. You see, we use this word blessing in all different ways. And so we have to get clarity. What does the Bible say when it comes to this idea of blessing? Well, the first time we discover the word blessing in the Bible, we actually find it in the creation account in the book of Genesis. God uses it when he creates the fish and the other water animals. He blesses them. And right after that, he makes mankind in his image, and he blesses mankind. And I got to highlight that because from the very beginning of time, as God's creating, he's wrapping blessing around his creation, and most specifically to you and to me. And today we're going to look at 2 very specific kind of stories. One of what blessing is. I think it's the best place to really get an accurate picture of what blessing truly looks like in the Bible. And another story that really paints a picture of what blessing is not. So what is blessing? Well, we have to go to the book of Numbers. In the book of Numbers, all of a sudden, we have this moment where God comes to Moses, and God tells Moses, hey, Moses, go tell Aaron, his brother, and his sons, this is how you're to bless the Israelites, and say to them. Now, 2 important insights here. Aaron and, his sons became the tribe of Levi. And the tribe of Levi were the only priests for Israel. And the priests were a very significant kind of conduit between the people and to God. Now, we fast forward into the New Testament, and all of a sudden things start to shift. You didn't need the Levites and the priests to have a relationship with God. In fact, Jesus becomes the high priest, and Peter tells us that, guess what? If you're a Christ follower, you are a priest. Or let me say it this way, you are a spiritual leader. It's this idea of the priesthood of all believers, that when you place your faith and trust in Jesus, again, Jesus is the high priest, he's the conduit between you and God, and now you, as a Christian, as a spiritual leader, have a relationship with God the Father. And God tells Moses to tell Aaron and his sons that this is how you bless Israel, and to say to them, like, this blessing needs to be said out loud. This blessing isn't one of those things where it's like, well, I thought it. No, you need to say it. It's not one of those blessings where you can say, well, I said it once, I don't have to say it again. No, you need to keep saying this blessing over and over again. There's something so spiritual and powerful to saying these words out loud. And this is the blessing that God gives. This is what it says. The Lord bless you and keep you. The word blessed literally means divine favor or grace. By the time we make our way in the New Testament, right, grace is a gift given through Jesus, his death, burial, and resurrection. The idea of God's blessing is his divine favor, his grace being given, being wrapped around his people, those who he loves, and keep you. The word keep literally means to watch over or to protect. That God desires to watch over you, to watch over me, to protect us. He goes on and goes, the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The idea of his face shine upon you gets connected back to this moment where Moses has an encounter with God. And when Moses is face to face with God, literally God's glory radiated, illuminated Moses' face. So much so that his face, was radiating this brilliance. It's an incredible moment. And God goes, may my face shine upon you. This is all about his presence, being that close with you. And be gracious to you. That his grace, we don't deserve and we can't earn. Again, it's a gift that God, perfect, holy God, is giving to us, his divine favor. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. It literally means that God lifts his head. It's literally the image of God smiling at you. Think about that. So many times we get this image of God, the mean God, the vengeful God, the judge-filled God, the fearful God, right? There's all these images, and God's like, no, here's my blessing. I smile, I lift up my head, and I'm smiling at you because I'm with you, because I love you. He goes, and give you peace. What's that an image of? His peace. Jesus said it this way, that his peace that he gives is not a peace of this world. It's a peace that can settle right in the midst of the unexpected. His peace that settles right in the midst of the chaos. The peace that settles in right in the midst of the hurt and the pain. The peace that settles in right in the midst of it's his peace. It doesn't mean everything else goes away. But when his peace is there, we know it's going to be okay. And so, they will put my name on the Israelites, and I will bless them. I will bless him. God's blessing, his grace, his protection, his presence, his smile, and his peace. You see, I think that's such a powerful way to understand what blessing is. And this is God's position in a relationship with us, with you, with me. This is his desire for, the Bible calls it a covenant relationship. God's like, I'm going to give you all of this. I'm going to bless you. Now, join me. Be in relationship with me. So, what is blessing not? Well, we have a great image tied to a story of a family. The family, mom and dad are Isaac and Rebekah. And I just want you to know, like, a messy family after messy family after messy family is in this Bible. If you think your family is broken and messy and a disaster, I just want you to know, read about the families in the Bible. You'll run into them. And Rebekah and Isaac, they're way up there. When Rebekah was pregnant, and she was pregnant with twins, eventually would name them Esau and Jacob. When she was pregnant with twins, they started to wrestle around within her. And she goes to God to say, hey, God, what's going on here? And God basically says to Rebekah, hey, Rebekah, I just want you to know the younger son, Jacob, the younger son, not the older son, the younger son, Jacob, is going to be the one that I'm going to raise up. And what we know is over the course of time, it was Jacob that had 12 sons. Those 12 sons become the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes become Israel. And so God just highlights, hey, I'm going to do some things a little out of order. I'm not going to choose the older son. I'm going to choose the younger son. I'm going to do something significant through Jacob. Now, this had to be a story that the whole family understood. But again, this was a messy, broken family. And all of a sudden, what we discover is Isaac's favorite was Esau, and Jacob became the favorite of Rebekah. The lines were drawn. I remember when Kim and I had our youngest daughter, Claire, and all of a sudden Kiera went from the only child for about 3.5, 4 years to all of a sudden now she had to share me and share Kim with her new baby alien sister. And one day Kiera walked up to me and this question caught me off guard. She goes, hey, Dad, am I your favorite daughter? Right? She's now had to share me with her new baby sister, and she's like, hey, Dad, am I your favorite? And I thought I think for sure she thought I would say yes. And in this split moment, I responded in, I think, one of the best ways, and this had to come from God. I looked at her and said, yes, Kiera, you are my favorite. And I paused ever so slightly. Slight pause. She started to get this quick smile like, I knew it. And then I said, oldest daughter. And this became our thing over the years. The pause got longer and longer and longer. There's times the pause would be 15 minutes, and all of a sudden I would scream up the stairs, oldest daughter, and she's like, Dad. And over the years, all of a sudden Claire started to play this game too, and I would say, yes, Claire, you're my favorite youngest daughter. And you see, for this family, Isaac and Rebekah, the battle lines were drawn because everyone knew. And everyone knew that they had their favorites and that God was going to do something unique through Jacob. Now, something else we can't miss that was very common thousands of years ago is that the father, had the birthright and the blessing to give away. The birthright was all about giving the financial blessing and the leadership. They would get a double portion of the inheritance. And the blessing, again, we looked at it, was this divine favor. It was kind of the spiritual leadership side. Now, what we know, and there's some murkiness between the birthright and the blessing, but what we know is the oldest son always got the birthright. It always went to the son. But the blessing usually went to the oldest son, but didn't have to. And the blessing could be given to multiple of the sons. Well, one day, Jacob was cooking some food. And his brother Esau came in from hunting. Esau was famished. He's so hungry. And he walked up to Jacob, was like, give me a bowl of stew. And Jacob was like, I'll give you stew if you give me your birthright. In a moment of weakness, Esau said, okay. He literally gave his birthright to Jacob, and that created, as you can imagine, a ton of tension. Now, fast forward years, Isaac was getting old. He had basically lost his eyesight, and it was time for Isaac to give the blessing. Now, remember, everyone knew what God had said to Rebekah. Everyone in this family was jostling for different positions. They all had their different agendas. And Rebekah came to Jacob one day and said, hey, you need to get your dad's blessing now. And so she rolled out this whole plan that Jacob would dress up like his brother Esau. He cooked some food and brought it into his dad, and he was successful. He convinced his dad that he was his brother Esau, and all of a sudden, his dad started to eat the amazing meal he cooked, and all of a sudden, his dad was like, it's time to give the blessing. And this is where we'll step into the story. Isaac says, oh, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. What a blessing. But again, Isaac thought it was Esau, but it was Jacob. Jacob immediately leaves with his dad's blessing. And we're told that Esau also enters into the picture. He had cooked his dad a meal, and Esau knew it was time for his dad to give the blessing. So he entered in to give his dad the meal and to receive the blessing. And all of a sudden, his father, confused, thinking that Esau had already been in there. He's like, "Who are you? Who are you?" Esau responds and says, I'm your son. And we're told that Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came in, and I blessed him. And indeed, he will be blessed." And when Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Father, bless me. Me too, my father, bless me." But Isaac said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau responded. He goes, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob, which that name means deceiver? This is the second time he's taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Now, you have to remember, there was only one birthright. But when it came to the blessing, a father could portion that out however he wanted to. Isaac could have done anything in this situation. Keep that in mind. And Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and I have made all of his relatives his servants. And I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" And Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Do you only have one? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept out loud. And you see, the tragic side of the story is Isaac could have blessed him as well. Isaac could have changed this whole story. And he still chose not to bless Esau. You see, when I think about blessing in the Bible, again, let's not lose sight of the importance of blessing. It was part of the creation of the world. It's part of God's relationship with you and me. You know, I think about this priestly blessing we looked at in Numbers, right? The blessing is about God's grace, His divine favor, about His protection, His presence, His smile, and His peace. And when it comes to a home of blessing, I can't encourage you enough to receive God's blessing and to share that blessing. You see, when it comes to God's blessing, it's both to receive it and to share it. Both of those actions are essential. I want to share with you part of my story in two images, because I'm the product of a dad that along the way experienced God's blessing, and a dad who shared it constantly. This is my dad. His name was Lauren. His smile lit up a room. His smile, wherever you went. I tell you, he could walk in a room, know no one, and by the end of his time there, everyone would know him and genuinely love him because his smile was genuine. It was authentic. It was just who he was. I mean, honestly, I didn't get that part of his genes. I just didn't. But he was just that. I mean, life joy, excitement, passion. And my dad grew up in a home that was completely fractured. Abuse, alcoholism, fractured. And so many of you, just when I say fractured home, so many of you have that image. That was my dad's upbringing. My mom's upbringing wasn't much better, but it was when my dad came back from Vietnam. All of a sudden, a friend, a business associate, shared Jesus with him. And it changed my dad, it changed my mom, and it changed my life and my sister's life. My dad never had a dad that shared God's blessing over him. My dad never had a dad that was a spiritual leader in which God had called his dad to be in his life. He never had that. He never had it modeled. He didn't have a picture. He had a grandparent, though. Who was that for him? His grandparents gave him an image of what God wanted to say to him and who he was in the image of God. And so with that image, some great people around him, and my mom and dad's desire to raise us kids in not just a Christian house, but a Christ-centered house. My dad became the dad that he never had. My dad became the dad that God had designed him to be, even though his earthly dad never was that for him. And again, my life changed because God was at the center of my mom and dad's marriage. You see, you fast forward, and there's a moment that got captured. It's probably one of the most difficult moments of my life and one of the most precious moments of my life. It's a picture of my dad just days before he passed away. He had pancreatic cancer, and like pancreatic cancer does, it took him pretty fast. I remember flying out to Vegas, and he was just so weak. And that day, my sister had flown in, and she was sitting on the couch just across the room from us. My dad had set up on the couch, and he had to go to the bathroom. And so I came over, sit next to him to help him up, to help walk him to the bathroom. As we sat there and we were talking, and we were kind of all sharing some family stories and jokes, and it was just a beautiful moment. And I looked at him and I said, "Dad, are you ready to go to the bathroom?" And he looked at me, he's like, "I'm just tired." And then he laid down on my lap. And as a son, this moment, I just tell you, is what blessing looks like. A dad that showed me who God the Father was. A dad who was not perfect, but lived his faith out. A dad who lived out a God who's grace-filled, a God who protected, a God who smiled, a God who's present, and a God of peace. My dad embodied that. Why? Because that's who God was to him. And across my younger years, into my teenage years, into my college years, into my adult years, I'm just telling you, my dad shared God's blessing with me. And this moment, filled with tears, was one of the most beautiful moments of my life. Because it's the image of a father and a son. And here's what I want you to hold on to. Maybe you didn't have that in a dad, but you can change the storyline. Maybe your dad, maybe your mom, maybe both your parents weren't present, or maybe they did not share with you the blessing that God wanted them to share with you. But that doesn't mean you can't change the storyline. Doesn't mean you can't become that blessing. But first, you must receive God's blessing. You must receive the Heavenly Father's blessing over you. That God is sharing these words with you and for you. I want to just take a moment. And I want to read these words over you. And maybe your mom, maybe your dad shared these words over you. Or maybe you never experienced it, but I just want you to sit here in this moment and receive these words from God. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. My prayer is that you receive that. And mom and dads, and grandparents, and great-grandparents, and aunts, and uncles, and cousins. My prayer is that you share that blessing. Our kids, no matter their age, needs to know that God the Father loves them that deeply. And God wants you to say it. That the Lord bless you and keep you. That the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Let's pray. Lord, I pray that all of us will receive your blessing. Lord, for those who never experienced that as a child from a parent, Lord, I pray that they receive it now. That you are saying those words to them. And Lord, I pray that every parent, every grandparent will realize that you have called them to be the priest, the spiritual leader, to speak words of blessing over them. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. In your name I pray. Amen.